It's not me the people, it's not you the people, it's we the people. We are waking up. There is no doubt about it. Does everybody know what an armchair quarterback is? An armchair quarterback is someone that sits there and bitches and moans and complains and says, it's kind of football related, telling the quarterback's no good, all that kind of stuff. But it's also, I sit at home, I'm very conservative, as you all know. By the way, are there any liberals in the room? Jacob Turk. Is the Kansas City Star? I always need to know if the Star is in the room. Kansas City Star in the room? Okay, good. We the people. We are waking up. We're a little bit frustrated. Did anybody see the president Thursday night?
Go Brandon.
What president would ever piss off 50% of America? Well, I read the other day that 88% of America is frustrated with the government. And I think that's closer to the number. When they say 36% approval rating, there's a lot of bots that are voting, I think. Tara, I know what a bot is. I learned that last week. I think Facebook and a lot of different pages like that are getting in trouble with their bots, and that's fake people. But anyway, he's standing up there with red in the background, with military people behind him, telling everybody that anybody that is Make America Great Again is not American. That we are, what's the word he used?
Oh, mega, ultra mega.
I mean, how in the world can these people win elections?
I don't care who voted.
Why are conservatives putting up with it?
Not anymore. Conservatives are too happy keeping to themselves and leaving everyone else alone.
Well, this preacher's not failing over here. And you're absolutely right. If the preachers would stand up and just, talk the faith and talk the Bible the way it's written, I'm just frustrated. Sorry. All right, I got to get into my announcements. My name is Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
And I haven't drank since 1988. I really haven't. That's not a joke. I really haven't. A little bit about us. This club was opened up in 1955. Believe it or not. People don't even know we're here. How many people are here for the first time tonight? I always say, where you been? Where you been? But this hall, we rent it for $200 on Monday night through Thursday night. We rent it for $400 to We the People on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I've got that price until the end of October. So if anybody's wanting an anniversary or a birthday or, whatever, pardon? Fundraiser. This is the place to do it. It's the least expensive hall in the area. I think maybe October. not to steal any thunder from my friend Derek here, but I think if you all would like, if you wanted to bring your shotgun at 5 o'clock, we can shoot out here. We can teach you how to use your shotgun, and we can shoot some targets, not flying targets. We'll put some buckets out there or something. But and I will post that on email. I'll post that on Facebook, and we can at least help you feel more comfortable with your shotgun also. So that would be, hey, how are you?
I'm recruiting.
My friend. I love it.
This is Sean Wright, everybody.
Sean Chuck Weisberg.
Good friend of mine.
All right. What am I forgetting to do?
That. Pray and yes.
Let's all stand up. Let's take our caps off. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. You get to lead it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keep your hats off. Keep standing. We're going to do the national anthem whenever Becky pushes that button. That one went a little slower than we're used to. We were about 3 words ahead of it. That's all right. Oh yeah.
Prayer.
This is where I hand the mic off to our pastor and one of the directors on We the People, Tom Mans.
Thank you, Chuck. I thought Chuck was going to steal my intro here tonight. Here he was getting ready to preach there to what he saw last week. But just before we pray, just let me share just a few comments and a little bit of scripture, and then we'll pray over the meeting tonight. I've said many times over the last year or so, actually since we started this group over the last couple of years, how amazed I am at how rapidly society and culture, morals, political agendas, how rapidly this stuff's changing. And I don't know if you feel like I do, but I mean things have changed more in the last 6 or 8 years, I think, than probably in my entire life. And I'm getting pretty old, so that's a long time. And it's almost everything stayed the same up through the 50s, 60s, except for the late 60s when a bunch of us teenagers went off the rails. Society pretty much believed the same stuff, did the same stuff, but that's changing. And I'm just amazed as I see things happening. Last week was an interesting week for me. Actually, the last couple of weeks we've learned quite a bit. But last week we learned something that I didn't know. And I'm not sure if you knew it or not either, but I learned that hardworking, law-abiding citizens who believe in small government, low taxes, secure borders, strong military, sanctity of all life, traditional marriage between one man and one woman, and that a man is actually a man, and a woman is actually a woman, that our children should be educated, not indoctrinated, that only legal citizens with valid ID should vote. Well, last week I learned that people who believe that are actually enemies of democracy and domestic terrorists. Isn't that interesting? Did anybody know that before last week? And if that's the case, then how has this country survived through the generations of our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents? Because basically they all believed the same thing. I grew up in a family that believed in working and paying your bills, basically staying married for the most part. And, and believed in the common morals that our culture seemed to accept up through most of our American history. And so, it's shocking to see. And Chuck asked the question, what kind of a president would make, whatever he said, make 50, 60, 70, 80% of the people to alienate that many people? Well, my answer to that is one who's not really the president. And that may be my opinion. I'm not saying that authoritatively, but that's my opinion. One who has not been legally elected and who is literally an imposter. Because it's kind of like pastoring a church. You love the people that are under your care and you care for them. A president should love the people of this nation. If he's going to lead us, he should care about us. He should love all the people, even the ones he doesn't agree with. And so, I'm really amazed to see what kind of things happened, or really were publicly manifested in the last week, particularly Thursday night. And I know you probably feel that way too. Let me just share a couple of quick scriptures with you and then we'll pray. I don't want to take up too much time here. We got a lot of things on the agenda. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. This, to me, kind of brings a biblical perspective on what's actually going on in our culture right now. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with this verse. Paul talks about this in light of what he calls the last days. He says in verse 1, "But realize this, in the last days, difficult times will come, for men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to a form of godliness, although they have denied its power. Avoid such men as these." Isn't that amazing? Now, a lot of times you won't hear that scripture read maybe on a Sunday morning because it's offensive to some people that want to believe that everybody's wonderful. But we live in a culture that is rapidly declining, and these descriptive words in this passage not only are in our culture among what we would consider to be criminals, but they're actually in our government. And they're in our schools, and they're in places that you would just be surprised to believe that people would actually resist what is good. And the whole basis of deception in the Bible, what the Bible talks about when it's talking about people being deceived, it's people who take what is bad and make it look like it's good, and then they take what is good and make it look like it's bad. And our laws are actually being shifted now. They're attempting to shift the laws to where the things that we would consider to be good, healthy, right, and true are going to be considered illegal. And so we're living in this time, and whether or not we're actually in the last days, I personally believe we are. Some people might argue that point, but I believe we are for sure. That's what we're dealing with in our country right now. That's what we're dealing with in the world right now. So, on that positive note, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you because you're a good God. And no matter what's going on this earth, no matter how bad things get, it does not affect you. It doesn't affect your promises. It doesn't affect your power. It doesn't affect your ability to touch lives, to save souls, to turn people's lives around. And Lord, we pray that all of us will have a living, active, vibrant relationship with you as we try to walk through this fallen world. Give us wisdom, give us grace, give us your insights and discernment so that we can make right choices. and so that we can be a light in the midst of a dark world. We thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen.
I love that guy. Y'all know where he preaches? You're gonna have to do 2 sermons one of these days. He's up on 7 Highway, right next to Petland, in the same shopping center with that Legends of Asia, and 10:30 on Sunday mornings. So if you want to come hear a conservative preacher, trust me, he is. I asked who was carrying earlier, and I didn't finish my story. The reason I wanted, we're in a safe spot. Number one, we're at the gun club, and number two, we got people that can protect us in the room, right, Derek?
Yes, sir.
So, that's the only reason I asked. So, I'm not carrying because I've got shorts on. I usually carry down here by my ankle. But, tonight we're going to have some fun, and we're going to probably cry a little bit too. But let's start off with the candidates. Each one of the candidates that are running in November, I'm telling you, everybody in this room, we have got to get these people elected.
Yes.
And if you're not educating 30 or 40 people, you're not doing your job. Because we have got to get these people elected. We have got to change Jackson County. We, the people, need to take over. All right? Who wants to talk first? You each get 5 minutes. We got a timer. We're going to hold up 1 minute when you got 1 minute left. Okay? I'll do it. Okay. Whoever. Doesn't matter to me. Go ahead, Bill.
Good evening. I'm Bill Kidd. I'm running for Jackson County at-large District 1, and this is going to be a little different than any campaign speech you've probably heard, because I used to be a former pastor. So when I pass the plate, you'll see I've got people that are going to hand out some things for you also that are coming up the aisles. I'm going to share with you an experience my wife and I have had over the last couple of weeks with the Lord. Because I think that if you're going to have people that can be in office, they ought to report to a higher authority. How many of you have felt like we just didn't know what to do? This whole problem in the whole nation is just so large. What do we do? And so my wife and I have been praying about that over the last couple of weeks. In fact, longer than that. What do we do, Lord, besides running for office? What can the individuals do? What can you do? Because it just seems so big. And we were praying one day, and the Lord said in our mind, He said, read Nehemiah. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't wake up this morning and go, hey, I think I'm going to read me some Nehemiah this morning. Probably not one of the things on your reading list. So we began to read Nehemiah, and I'm going to read Nehemiah to you. It's on the handout that we've printed out. I'm going to read Nehemiah to you. It says, our kings, our leaders, our priests, and our ancestors did not follow your law. Sound familiar? They did not pay attention to your commands or your statutes you warned them to keep, even while they were in their kingdom, enjoying your great goodness to them in the spacious and fertile land you gave them. They did not serve you or turn from their evil ways. But see, we are slaves today. Sound familiar? Slaves in the land you gave our ancestors so they could eat its fruit and the other good things it produces. Because of our sins, because we've allowed them to do these things, guess what? Our abundant harvest goes to the kings that you have placed over us. 80,000 new IRS agents. They rule over our bodies, masks and mandates. And our cattle as they please. They close our businesses. We are in great distress. If that's not speaking today, folks, I don't know what Scripture does. It's a perfect description. So we went back to the Lord and said, okay, Lord, we know where we are. Nehemiah said that, but what do we do? And he said, read Nehemiah. So we started reading Nehemiah again. And it goes through, starts out in the 3rd and the 4th chapters, talks about a list of all the people that went and built sections of the wall. It lists them out, one of the most boring things you'll ever read in the Bible. And I said, Lord, what does that have to do? And he says, that's how you do it. What Nehemiah did is he went to every household and he said, hey, you've got a section of the wall behind you. You fix that section. He went to the next person. He said, you fix that section. You fix the section behind your house. You fix the section behind yours. You fix the section behind yours. I don't care how you do it, just get it done. This great big wall around the city of Jerusalem, they rebuilt in 52 days. Now here's what I'm calling you to do tonight. Rebuild the wall behind your house. Rebuild the wall in your neighborhood. Rebuild the wall in your city council. Rebuild the wall in your school boards. Rebuild the wall in Jackson County. Rebuild the wall in the state of Missouri. Rebuild the wall wherever you are, and then eventually we can rebuild the wall, as we would say, in Washington. But you do it on an individual basis. You get involved. You pick up one block and you put it in the wall. And if that's all you're capable of doing, that's all you do. One block, whatever that is, that's what you do. On this sheet I passed out, I've got a list of some things that I think are blocks that goes in the wall. Okay? I don't know what your block looks like. I don't care. I want you to fix the portion where you live. Now, Nehemiah also said the minute that they started to rebuild the wall, the enemy came against them and said, hey, they're going to rebuild the wall. It's going to destroy them now. The minute you stand up and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, we're going to rebuild the wall, the enemy's going to come against you. So here's what you do. Take this list. Go home. Pray about it. See what the Lord wants you to do. On that list, circle something. Put this on your refrigerator. Circle what you're going to do. My email is on there. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home and I want you to send me on my email what you're willing to do. I don't care what it is, whether it's signs, it doesn't have to be political, it doesn't have to be any of that. I want to know what you're going to do. And I'm going to compile that list. Where's Chuck? I'm going to bring it next time and we're going to put that list out to see what people are going to do. Then I want you, once you compile that list, I want you then to take this, make copies, and give to other people. Build the wall in your area. Build the wall with your neighbor. Build the wall with the person across the street. So go home, pray about this, send me the email, and let me know what you're going to do. I'm Bill Kidd. I'm running for Jackson County, District 1 at large, and I can't build the wall without you. I'd appreciate your vote.
You're good. So it's funny because about 2 weeks ago, God told me to read Nehemiah too. So when he posted something on Facebook, I was like, I'm reading Nehemiah too. I'm like, that's cool. So anyway, my name is Janelle Houts. I've got some flyers over here. I'm running for District 28 House Representative, which is Raytown and a little bit of South Kansas City. And it's going to be a tough race. This was not my idea. This was God's idea. But I'm your typical conservative Republican. Pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm carrying tonight in my purse there. My husband's watching it. I'm just your typical conservative. I stand for school choice. I stand for, parents being able to decide what kind of education their kids should get, and just all of the things. But I wanted to talk to you tonight, kind of like Bill, a little bit differently, and I want to challenge you as well. So I've been going around knocking on doors, and there are people so excited that there's a Republican running, because my opponent, he's a 3-term incumbent, and the last 2 times no one has run against him, which has really made me mad because I have no choice. I write Mickey Mouse in there, I cannot vote for this guy. So, truly. So I'm like, I'm putting my name on the ballot. I'm just doing it, and I don't know if I'm gonna win, but we're gonna try. We're gonna work really hard. So I do need donations. Please get on the back. There's my website on there, and please give me donations. I need to get signs this week, okay? Here's my challenge to you. How do we win in November? And I'm not just talking me. I'm talking all of us. I'm talking county, I'm talking the state, I'm talking city, everything, okay? And I want you to get out, if you have notes, I want you to write these down. I used to be a high school teacher, so come on, I'm watching. Who's getting their notebook out? If you don't have a notebook, get your phone out. I'm gonna tell you some things that I want you to do, okay? First of all, how do we win in November? Number 1, vote the day of. Vote in person. vote as late as you can in the day. Why? Because the bad actors watch to see what's going on live, and they monitor who's voted and who hasn't, and they try to see how many more votes they need to cheat. Okay? Vote late in the day if you can. All right, that's number one. Number two, I want you to become a part of the Election Watch project that the Missouri Canvassers is doing. If you're voting anyway, you might as well watch and report what you see. Here's the website you need to go to. You ready? www.frankspeech.com/cause, C-A-U-S-E dash, America-Missouri. I'm going to say it one more time. www.frankspeech.com, for F-R-A-N-K, speech, S-P-E-E-C-H.com, /America-Missouri. That is where you're going to find videos to teach you what to look for. What are you going to do if you go to the polls to vote and they say, oh, you've already voted, sorry. What's your plan? It's happened, okay? You're going to learn what to do. You're going to be able to report that, and we're going to be able to have a lot of evidence of all the things that are going on in the elections, okay? You can go to that site and then click on News, N-E-W-S, News, and then the videos are on there. And also, there's a 78-page report the Missouri Canvassers put together called Missouri Elections Are Impossible to Validate. Did you know that? And there are 6 main points for why Missouri elections we cannot validate them, okay? So, we're talking elections. We've got to take back our elections, guys. And every single person here needs to figure out what they're going to do, just like Bill said, okay? You can be a voter and you report your experience. You could work as an election judge. I've done that several times. It's a lot of fun. It's a long day. Don't get paid much, but it's really interesting. You can also do a voter experience or poll worker experience with that, okay? You can pass out flyers at the polls. We need a couple hundred people to sit at every single poll in this entire county. So please, what can you do? Can you take a shift? Can you go sit for a few hours and pass out flyers to people as they're walking in so they know who to vote for? Because that's what the Democrats do. And they pay people to do that too. Did you know that? They pay people to stand at the polls and pass stuff out. Okay, we need volunteers to go and do the same. We have this right here. People need to hand these out so that Republicans know who to vote for. Because that's what the Democrats do. They sit there and they pass out their freedom ballot. Have y'all heard of that? Okay, this is our freedom ballot right here, and this is what we need to pass out the day of. Can you help with that? Can you help pass out flyers for a candidate like me? Can you go sit at one of my precincts and help me? That's what we need to do. So if we all do something, every single person in this room, we can take back our elections and we can take back our cities and our counties and our state. Thank you very much. Janelle Houts, District 28.
Hello, I'm David Martin. I'm not a great speaker like the last two here. I'm not a preacher or anything like that. And I am a truck driver. I've been a truck driver the last 15 years. I was here to visit you all in July. I didn't make the August one. I was preparing for the election. So I had a 3-way primary, if y'all remember that. So there was 3 of us, and I came out first place. So we almost got almost 50% of the vote, and I think we did pretty good. So I ran a campaign on our rights, our freedom from the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates. I want to protect our freedom. And also, I wanted to protect our right to bear arms, our unborn children. And between the two of my opponents, they didn't support both of those things. So I did, and I think that people recognize that, and they voted for me. They also want somebody who's not just a politician, somebody who's from the community, just like them. So I have a Democrat opponent in November who has raised over $40,000. But this district, though, I'll tell you right now, Trump won this district in 2020. He won it in 2016. So we can do this. We can win it back from the Democrats that had control of it. Roy Rowland had this. He's now the mayor of Independence. He was Democrat, and they've got who they want to replace that seat with. The Democrats don't want to lose that. They want to keep it. So I'm going to need everybody's help to defeat them in November. I've got a website, it's davidmartin.gop. You can go there. It's got a donation link, or if you like, I've got some envelopes. I'd appreciate if you can help out very much. So anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say. I appreciate your time, and hand it off here to one of these guys. Oh, District 29 at the Missouri House. State Representative, Independent, South Independence. So, yes, thank you very much. There we go.
I'm J.C. Crossley. I'm running for District 34 in Lee Summit. It's the district's wholly contained within Lee Summit. There's, I think, 4 districts that has part of Lee Summit in it, but mine's wholly Lee Summit. I'm going to piggyback on what Bill and Janelle was talking about. We need help. Does everybody here know who's running in their district for state representative? Well, I don't see any hands. Everybody know who, okay. You need to get a hold of that person. If you don't know what his website is, if you don't know what his email is, all you have to do is Google his name. My name, it pops up. I Google J.C. Crossley and it pops up 4 ways. It's easy to get a hold of the person that's running in your district, whether it's for county, whether it's for state. Get a hold of those people and ask them how you can help. My email address is hard, but my website is jccrossley4missouri.com. And if you don't remember what that is, just Google J.C. Crossley and you'll find my website. I need help, and every person that's running for office. I was talking to Rachel. She said she got the bronze. She didn't lose an election. She won bronze, she said. I believe that. How much more help could have, what her race been? She might have got silver if she had more help. I tell you, the help's hard. You're out there knocking on doors, and it's kind of, I have some friends that's been helping me, and it's exciting to have people walking with you, and they kind of encouraging. I had a representative walk with me last week, and showing me how to do it. And I tell you what, when you have 2 people doing something, it's a lot easier. The pastor's talking about, I don't know which one's the pastor, Bill or
Pastor Tom.
You know, we have like, I go to all these, this is the 2nd or 3rd time I've been to this meeting here. We have another weed of people I've been to, and then we have the Republican Club, and then we have a couple pachyderm clubs, and we have what? I don't know. And then we have women's clubs. We have like 8 or 9 different Republican clubs. But we need to do something together. We need to be together on this. We had a tough primary, and a lot of passion got released during that primary, and we need to heal from that. We need to come together as a group, and I'm talking about a citywide group, countywide group, and work together. And get people that have stuck their head up to play whack-a-mole and help them. And so what I'm saying is people need people to knock doors. If you have an hour or 2, I've made, and I'm sure everybody else, I've made short walk books so I can give you 40 or 50 houses to go knock on. And so I can make it easy for you. My wife, she bundles up these flyers and puts them in little bags, and we need help. Money is really important, but I'm telling you what, knocking on the doors, I find people that will talk to me. A lot of people won't even, they say they're going to vote for me, but they're afraid to put a sign out because they're afraid of, I don't know what they're afraid of. I can only imagine. They're afraid to have a sign in their yard that says they vote for a Republican. We live in a sad country where you can't say you're a Republican, or even where you can't say you're a Democrat, or you can, whatever you are, and you can't put that in your yard and not feel safe about it. So we need a lot of help. So if you don't know who your representative is running for state or running for county, whether countywide guys, everybody needs help. It's really time to get it done. Do you know that California, if we don't get together as Republicans, we could lose the state pretty easily. And can you imagine what if we had a Democrat Senate, and a Democrat House and a Democrat governor? we would have California, New York. We would be driving well, anybody could buy one. We'd be driving an electric car in 13 years. Can you imagine living in California? You know how why California is the way they are? Is because nobody ever stuck their head up and they didn't come to meetings like this, and they never got pissed off. They never did. And then when they finally woke up, it was too late. Thank goodness we woke up. I woke up in March. I was asked to run. I was pretty, what do you call it?
Asleep.
Complacent. I'm not complacent anymore.
Good.
And I hope you guys aren't either. And I want to thank Chuck for running a good place. I like his idea of getting along. And we need to get along with each other. I know that a lot of passion got released during the primary, and a lot of, I will say, feelings got hurt. Well, we need to get over that. And you need to grow thick skin and be done with it. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, don't plug your cars in.
You can have one, but you can't plug it in.
Yeah, buy them. You have to have one. Don't plug them in.
I'll save the best for last, Jacob. You can go last then. I want to just say, Bill Kidd was exactly right. We are probably 20, the majority of those that are running for the legislature and the county seats, the majority of us, we're down 20,000 votes right out of the chute because of the PACs in the inner city. My name's Lance Dillon Schneider. Most of you know me, some of you don't if it's your first time. I'm running for the Jackson County 3rd District Legislature at large. I'm running for basically my top 3 reasons that I'm running is crippling property taxes that are coming in 2023. And they're going to come at us with a vengeance on that. The second is the poorly handled mandates. People lost their businesses, they lost their livelihoods. That was just handled extremely poorly. But the third thing that I want to talk about tonight is I'd like to discuss the rampant crime that is ravaging our streets and killing our children and grandchildren. That's fueled by deadly drugs. In 2021, Jackson County recorded approximately 181 murders. The same year, Johnson County, which is nearly the same amount of people, recorded 4. Johnson County, Kansas. 4. That is, if you live in Jackson County, you have a 40 times greater chance of being murdered than if you lived in Johnson County, Kansas. Our murders have nothing to do with hard times. They have everything to do with bad government. Jackson County has been controlled by the same party for over 50 years. Over time, I've seen a lot of bad government in Jackson County. We have suffered too much, too long from a one-party monopoly on government and media. Working together, they have chosen not to notice the crime ravaging our county. Working together, county government and the media have made it harder for our law enforcement officers and easier on criminals. Working together, they have made it stupidly difficult to start a business in Jackson County or even build a building. Working together, they are all too willing to raise our property taxes by a crippling amount. Working together, they have chosen not to notice the corruption so flagrant it has made Jackson County government the punchline of a joke. One more thing, working together, they have encouraged illegal immigration that is overwhelming our borders and infecting our county with fentanyl and heroin. Over the same 2-year period, we have heard from the media nonstop about COVID deaths. But did you know, across the nation, deaths from fentanyl are almost double that of COVID? And where is the outrage? Did you know that the number 1 cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 45 is fentanyl? Did you know that even a greater menace is now on our streets? It's car fentanyl. It is 100 times more deadly than fentanyl. Have you heard that on the news? I haven't. Did you know that just 21 pounds of car fentanyl is enough to kill everyone in the entire state of Kansas, plus all the residents of Kansas City. It's so potent that touching it can kill you. I attended a drug enforcement meeting last week that confirmed these facts. Did you know that 75 to 85% of all crimes are directly or indirectly related to drugs? My wife and I know all too much about fentanyl. It took the life of our 33-year-old son a little over a year ago. My opponent will do nothing to stop the flow of drugs or end the killing on the streets. Her party won't let her. I'm Lance Dillenschneider, and no one will stop me. And just one more thing. I have heard from multiple sources that this will be, if Frank White wins, this will be his last time that he runs. The person that is going to take his place is Quentin Lucas. We will be going from the frying pan to the fire.
No.
There is only one thing that we can do to stop that. There is only one firewall that we can put up to stop that. And that is to elect Teresa Galvin. That will throw a kink in their plans. She is the firewall, and I am supporting Teresa Galvin for county executive, and I'm asking everyone else to support her as well. We must stop the machine that is taking over our county. Also, I'd like to say, Emmanuel Cleaver is a big part of that machine. One way that we can stop that is to elect Jacob Turton. I'm Lance Dillenschneider, and I will use my legislative seat as a platform to be a voice for Jackson County residents. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Hi everybody, my name's Sean Smith. I want to say I take my fashion advice during the summer from Chuck. Even though I'm a candidate, I wear shorts because I'm out knocking doors and talking to people, and honestly, it's been a long, hot summer. I'm running for Jackson County Legislature, similar to Lance and Bill. They're running in at-large seats. That means they have to get the majority of votes from everybody throughout the entire county. And you can vote for Bill, and you can vote for Lance, and John's not here tonight, but you can vote for John. And if you're from southeast Jackson County, Lee Summit, a little bit of Raytown, all the way out to Lone Jack, you can vote for Sean Smith. My seat is one of two that are presently held by Republicans. That would be Teresa Cass Galvin, who's now running for county executive, and Jeannie Lauer. Those 2 out of 9 people represent obviously a very significant majority. Republicans didn't field candidates in 2 of those 9 seats. So where we're at right now is essentially we need. Jeannie is unopposed. I'm relatively safe, although I'm working hard. My opponent hasn't ever been to a legislative meeting, doesn't have a campaign committee, so when I say I'm pretty safe, I feel pretty good about it, but I gotta do the work. But these guys and Teresa, if I'm there and I'm 2 of 7, I can only do so much for you. So I'm really standing up here saying, I appreciate your vote, I appreciate your help, but for God's sake, get out and vote for Bill, vote for Lance, vote for John, vote for Teresa. The county is in a very precarious position right now. These guys have described it. I don't think I have to tell anybody here. But the bottom line is, if we don't stand up, we are gonna end up, as I believe it was Bill said, looking too much like California. The option is you move out of Jackson County. And I think it's, where are you gonna stop and fight? When are you gonna stop and fight? And I know here in Missouri, we're blessed with a majority in the Senate and in the House because we continue to field strong candidates and because our core values in the state are represented mostly by the Republican Party. I'm confident that Jacob has a shot at finally displacing Cleaver. In the 20 years that I've lived here, I believe this is our absolute best shot, but we've seen it over and over and over again. When we think we're going to win is when we sit back and don't do what we need to do in order to win. It's been described, the things that you can do. What I will say is realize how close this is going to be, even though we all feel confident and energized that every last thing that you can do to help contribute is critical. The last thing I'll say is I just spent some time in the last day or so looking at how things went in Jackson County during the primary. And what's interesting about that is that Frank actually would have lost the primary if the inner city was the only part of the voting population. Eastern Jackson County, outside of the city, and south of I-40/35, actually kept Frank in power. These are people that are persuadable votes. If you look at who they vote for, they're more middle of the ground than you think. Hardcore Eastern Kansas City is probably not where we're gonna pick up seats, but the places that are your friends and neighbors are the places that are persuadable, and they're, in many, many cases, voting off very little information. Name recognition. Jacob, I've watched him win primary after primary, and I've watched people that worked hard. Jacob has name recognition right now. If we don't take advantage of that, I don't know how much longer you can keep doing this. This is my 3rd time running for office, and I'm exhausted. So you've been doing it a lot longer than me, and move on. But we have absolutely positively got to pull out all the stops, and please understand that as we move forward, this is where we have to change things in Jackson County, change things in the congressional 5th district, and continue to bolster things at the state level, and get ready at the same time, and there are significant efforts underway, to get candidates ready for school board at the local level and city council seats. So all I'll say is put the press on now and realize that as you get involved and learn who you can stay in touch with, there are people that are working on the next race and the next race and the next race. And don't become apathetic, be engaged and learn from what you can this cycle. Help us push through to victory, but also get ready for the next one. That's all I have.
Well, for those of you who couldn't guess, I'm Jacob Turk. And thank you. And it's an honor to be batting cleanup, not to use a Frank White euphemism, but to be batting cleanup with the great slate of candidates that we have. I can tell you that Don and I are excited. The campaign consultant that's been with me all these years, he's very excited. We looked at the numbers, and they're right. We have the best opportunity that we've ever had. And part of that comes because I've appeared on all those ballots over all those years. People know who I am. And the number one thing that people vote on is name recognition. 86% of people vote on that. Well, we've gotten parity with Cleaver. Now we just have to persuade people. One, you gotta persuade people to go out. There are now enough Republicans in this Republican red wave year, and actually we talk about it being a purple wave, and I'll explain that in a second, that in this purple wave year, that we've got persuadable Democrats that we can bring to our side, that can put us over the top. I'm confident that in my campaign, we're gonna win Clay County. We're gonna win the Jackson County area. But if we get blown away in Kansas City, we have to have big numbers in the counties. So that's what we need to work on. And I can tell you that one of the reasons I'm excited is this is the best slate of down ballot candidates I've ever seen in Jackson County.
That's right.
Teresa Galvin, just a short story, and hopefully Chuck will give me just a minute or two longer. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. The first time that I ever really met Teresa Galvin was my wife, Donna. This is my wife, Donna. Everybody clap for Donna. She is still here, and that's awesome. That's right. We celebrate our 20th anniversary. She's very patient. We were at Waldo Pizza, which is now Summit Pizza. It was election day, and we were sitting there. We were exhausted, and this big group came in. I was like, "Who is that group?" And so I went over there to talk to them, and I met Teresa, and I met this group. A lot of them were her family, and then there were folks helping her. And I went back and told Donna the story about what we talked about, and we both said, she's gonna win. And that was against Bob Spence, who was an icon for the Jackson County legislature for years. And she did. She knows how to run a campaign, and she's running a strong campaign. and I was talking to Storm, who belongs with Lance. And I'm just very impressed by how smartly they're running their campaign, talking with Storm about some of the ways that they're handling the issues out there, because we have to have the soft Democrats come and vote for us. And we got Bill Kidd, and Bill knows how to run a campaign. He's in a Democrat district. He took that district and he kept it. And he knows what he's doing. We got John Murphy. John's been a friend. His wife, Kelly, and Donna have been friends for over 20 years, so we know John way back. And he's from Brooklyn, and he doesn't suffer fools. And he's been down there in Brookside fighting the battle against the city of Kansas City. He has a lot of respect in the urban core because of what he's done with the city of Kansas City. So we've got Huff in the first district. April Lejeune is gonna help just because she's on the Republican ballot. So we've got some real opportunities to turn Jackson County around, which then of course helps me turn around the 5th district and go to where we can win. We got a couple of challenges. Fundraising. August is a dead month in politics. It's a lot of people are on vacation still, a lot of people are going back to school. I need your help. Please go to jacobturkforcongress.com and contribute what you can. As Don always says, if everybody does a little, it adds up to a lot, and that's true. The other thing you can do, Chuck, is you can put this on your vehicle. And you only have to have, these are vinyl, and this is where we talk about name recognition. People know who I am, but they need to be reminded this time around because it's been a while since I've been on the trail. So you can put this in your back windshield. It's vinyl. You only have to have it on for about 2 months. And then November 9th morning, peel it off. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. So what everybody said here, if our folks will have the hope in their heart and know that with a little bit of effort on all their parts, and that includes all of you here, that we can take over Jackson County again. That legislature is completely winnable, the county executive is completely winnable, and then I can take the 5th district. And wouldn't that be a good day? Wake up on November 9th, and it's all changed. Well, we need you to work now. I've got 1 more minute. We need you to work. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. It's his meeting, so I'll do whatever Chuck says.
That's ours.
That's true. It's we the people. So, please, help our candidates, because if you help Lance, if you help Bill, if you help John, if you help Christina, if you help April, if you help any of our candidates. David Martin has been a trooper down there fighting the battle in those neighborhoods. He's done it 3 or 4 times, and I've always been impressed by how David engages people, and he has not given up. And perseverance is one thing that I really respect. So David's in there, help him if you can, but help all our candidates, because once you help each one of them, it helps all of us. So thank you. My name is Jacob Turk. I'm running to be your congressman from the 5th District of Missouri, and I ask for and would be privileged to receive your vote. Thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce my wife, Donna Turk.
Okay, Tom said I can say this. October 12th is the very last day for voters to register to actually vote on November 8th. And you'll be really sad if you talk to all your friends at church the Sunday after Election Day and they go, oh, I kept meaning to register and I kept forgetting. Please, every Sunday between now and October 12th, get your fellow church friends, everyone you know, to go ahead and register, because they can't vote if they don't register. There is an online on the Secretary of State. You can just bring your phone or your tablet to church, and people can register actually digitally. So anyway, please do that, okay?
And so you don't worry too much. People do have to provide documentation after they start going online, but that is where you can get them started.
Can we make a difference? Yeah. Will each and every one of you educate your neighbors? Educate the people in church, educate everybody, everywhere you go. We need to vote R. We have to vote R. We've got the silliest stuff going on, the craziest stuff going on, that I'm going, who could even vote that way? Who could even think that way? It is ludicrous what is going on right now. And we can take it back. Jacob Turk is a good man. We need to get Emmanuel Cleaver out of there. We need to make sure Quentin Lucas doesn't go anywhere from Kansas City. It's, it's up to us. We the people needs to get as many people. If every one of us can talk to 20 or 30 or 40 people, we can make a difference, hopefully. So, and Rachel.
Well, just real quick, several people, like at least some, for example, you don't have to pick one person to help. There are several people who are running in that district. Take the information for those people and hand out all their stuff. That way we're doing 3 times the work, so don't just pick one person. There's several candidates that we can all be helping. Just in your neighborhood.
It's not crazy.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, the election getting registered, since she brought it up, that many of the candidate workers were saying that they were afraid to go urban. And with the separate Kansas City election board, and they got their own little clique thing going on down there, that is how they keep stealing all the vote. I mean, well, okay, but that is what happens.
You're right.
Their little thingy in downtown Kansas City, that's where we lose all our votes. And so, if people would, even if you have to do 5 in a canvas or 5 in a group to walk around and talk to people, but we need to get into downtown Kansas City, not just all outer line. That's all.
Thank you. We're going to have to keep going, and I just wanted to reiterate to everybody in the room how important this election is in November. I hope you guys come back in October, and let's do it again. Let's get the word out. I'm going to introduce Melinda. You know who Melinda is? Melinda is We the People's lawyer. You are.
You need one, Chuck.
I probably do. Go ahead, my friend.
First off, I want to see if my client, Amanda Wallets, is here tonight. I don't think she is. Okay. Amanda Wallets is the owner of Ray's Cafe. And I think almost everyone is familiar with Ray's Cafe. Maybe not. I'll explain briefly. But before I do that, so when I was walking in the door, being silly, and I said, hey, I'm recruiting, right? And so I did. This gentleman here, his name is Sean Wright. Your hand, say hello. He works in my office building. He's got a mortgage company that he runs, right? But we started talking, and I told him, hey, I'm gonna be at this event on Labor Day evening, and I'm gonna be speaking, and I found myself like, and he can attest to this, so make sure you all like meet him and show him that, he's family. But I found myself like almost over-explaining what We the People is and what this group is about. And he'll tell you that I did that, right? And I think I did that because, again, it comes down to, us coming together regarding certain issues, right? And I'm standing up for issues. That's what I'm doing, all right? I don't know how to do anything else but. So when I met Amanda Wallets, who is the owner of Ray's Cafe, and learned that she was being unfairly targeted because she did not want to enforce a mask mandate. She owned a small cafe called Ray's Cafe. It's located in Blue Springs, Missouri. At the time, I was a part-time Blue Springs prosecutor, okay, and was told that if you continued your representation of Ray's Cafe, you're not welcome here, basically, okay? So you have to choose between your job or standing up for what's right. Amanda Wallet's 100% stood on the right principles, in my opinion, okay? She is not law enforcement. She's not part of the Shawnee or Jackson County, Sheriff's Department. So she has no authority, number one, to enforce any county health order or whatever it was supposed to be, right? So the fact that the county was asking her in her individual capacity as a private business owner to enforce their health order, to say, hey, look, whatever patron or customer that's coming in, you need to have on a mask, right? She even tried to explain to the health department at the time. She said, look, my customers, they're older. Many of them, they have health conditions. They're on oxygen. You can visibly see that when they're on oxygen, of course. They can't wear these masks, or they may have other reasons, religious reasons, other reasons why they don't want to wear them, okay? The county did not care, we know that, and they shut her down. Even though they didn't shut down any of the businesses right next to her, right? She was targeted because she made a post on her Facebook page that clearly said, I'm not gonna do this, right? So her business was shut down, and now I'm representing her. But let me backtrack a minute. What we're doing with Ray's Cafe, we're creating content, and we're creating video content to basically to show what's going on in real time on her case, to show, the content will show me preparing the witnesses, because we do have to get ready for trial. Her case is going to trial because I can't get Jackson County to give us any type of deal that she will live with, okay? Now, let's take her case in contrast to another case that I handled for a woman in Boone County, which is Columbia, Missouri, okay? She did not, it's similar, it's not the same because she wasn't a business owner, but she was attending a school board meeting in Columbia, Missouri. And she says, police officers are out there, and they said, hey, you gotta put on your mask. So she said, well, I happen to have both a religious exemption and also I have a medical reason to not wear these masks. Well, officers looked at her paperwork and they decided that it didn't matter. You are not going to attend the school board meeting. So what they decided to do, when she insisted that she had the right to be there, that she wanted to attend in person, that she did not want to attend, via Zoom or whatever on the internet, when she continued to walk through the threshold of that door, that's when she was arrested. She was arrested, she was put in handcuffs, she was booked into jail, just like any other, common criminal, yeah. Right? So the difference between what happened on her case versus Ray's Cafe case shows us that we have a serious issue with corruption in Jackson County, okay? Okay, so let me tell you what happened. The Boone County case, I show up to court, she hires me. I had to put on my criminal hat. You guys, I have a long history of criminal law, right? I put my criminal hat on, go to represent her. I talk to the prosecutor. Prosecutor says, I'm not gonna be able to dismiss this. I don't know. She was very uncooperative, all the language that, she's uncooperative, and when she was a 50-something-year-old woman, she was not going to harm these police officers in any kind of way, okay? But basically, I go down, try to make a deal, no deal, okay? So then I set it for trial, because that's what we normally do. When we cannot negotiate a plea that your client can live with, right? Then you set it for trial. Now the prosecutors normally, that kind of pushes them to want to work with you a little bit, because they get paid what they get paid, regardless of what they're doing on the job. They can be in trial with me all week and have to be up every night preparing, or we can just go in and do a plea deal, right? Either way, they get paid the same. So I set it for trial, and lo and behold, the prosecutor in Boone County said, well, let's talk about this a little bit more. Right? And that's normal, you guys. It's normal. It wasn't the type of case that warranted, a severe penalty. This is a woman that has no criminal history whatsoever. She's in her 50s, right? Let's talk. We talked, then we talked again, and he decided to dismiss the case. All right? Versus what's happening in Ray's Cafe here in Jackson County, okay? Here in Jackson County, I've been getting the runaround as to who is even responsible for the case, okay? The guy who did have the case, his name is Michael Hunt. He was probably the top third person, the hierarchy, number one, number two, number three. He was number 3 guy in the prosecutor's office. So what is he even doing with that case to begin with, right? When I tried to talk to him, I called him, left a message. He knows who I am, okay? He never returned my calls, he never returned my emails, and he retired from Jackson County before I could have that conversation with him. So now he's retired, so I go to my friend, another prosecutor, a woman I've known for years, and I'm like, hey, Stacy, what are we gonna do on this case? Michael's gone, he never got back with me. I'm just ready for an easy dismissal, like, let's get rid of it, right? So Stacy kind of hems and hums, and she's like, well, let me talk to someone about this case, right? Okay, we've known each other. Okay, girl, just give me a call, no problem. She didn't call me again, so I go back to court and I ask her, hey, what can we do on this case? She says, I don't have any authority to do anything for you, so, we're gonna go to trial, basically, okay? So we're set for trial on, what date? 7th? October 27th, I think. Laura, my office manager, is here as well. Laura is going to update our website and let you know what we need from you, because we need a lot. One of the first things I think we need you all to be very vocal by writing letters and emails to your county legislators and also to the prosecutor, okay? I mean, Jean Peters Baker, for whatever it's worth, I know, she is, allegedly an elected official, so she's supposed to answer to us, all right? But I think the more noise that we can make will be helpful, okay? The other thing that we're doing, when I talked about us making video content, I'm doing it for this reason. Years ago, when I was like a baby criminal defense lawyer, I had a client in Johnson County, Kansas, okay? He was not a criminal, he did something really, really stupid. He came from New York City with his girlfriend to visit with girlfriend's parents in Johnson County. And he thought, oh, I'm out here with a bunch of hillbillies, I'm from New York City, so I'm going to try and pass off these fake traveler's checks. That's how long ago this was. We still had traveler's checks, okay? And he goes to the bank, and there's obviously lots of cameras around, right? And they get wonderful video footage of him passing off this fake check. So, of course, he's caught red-handed, no problem. They hire me. Now, as soon as I'm hired, I start seeing my client's face on the 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock news, like Monday night and Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And the news reports say, this guy is the head of an international drug and crime ring. And I was shocked too, right? And I thought, oh, no. Because see, I was a baby attorney, I didn't know any better. I said, I'm just gonna call them, I'm gonna let them know I'm the attorney on the case and their report is wrong and they're going to need to run the correction. So I called and I typed up my little emails, made it real official, and no one even responded to me, right? So that's when I learned that we have a real problem with our media, our mainstream media outlets, a really bad problem. And so part of us wanting to film Ray's Cafe's story in real time is that that's the only way that we get to tell our narrative, right? We have to tell the story in the way that it's happening. It has to be accurate. So that's the reason why we're doing that. Last thing, I'll be really quick. I'm fighting a judge in Johnson County, like really, really hard right now. I mean, really bad, like it's personal. But he's a guy who, two parents were fighting, they're divorced, and so they have 7-year-old twin boys who dad wants to have vaccinated, and mom does not. So this is a mess, right? We go to a hearing, the judge doesn't even let me put on evidence, okay? I don't have a medical doctor, there's no medical testimony. I don't know how this guy was even gonna try to form his opinion, but he did, okay? He did it. He said, look, I don't believe mom, I don't believe, she's credible and blah, 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 and I believe dad, and then the judge started to testify. As a judge, he started talking about what the CDC says about vaccinations for children between the ages of 5 and 12, and yeah, no kidding. And then he started making objections for the dad, because dad was unrepresented. Dad did not have his own attorney. I was the only attorney, so judge starts acting as dad's lawyer, apparently, okay?
Wow.
So anyway, I had to file a motion for change of judge. And when I did that, in Kansas, the procedure is that there's 2 stages, right? Stage 1, I had to actually go back in front of the judge that I want to be removed. And I have to tell him, like, to his face, why I think he's a terrible judge for this case. So that was fun, okay? That was really fun, yeah. Even though I'm used to, an adversarial process, it was really, really awkward, okay? And so now we are in the process, stage 2. This judge, surprise, did not remove himself from the case. So now we're on stage 2, where I have filed the motion with the chief judge, who's like his supervisor, and we've gotten transcripts ordered so that the chief judge can see what was said during those hearings. So anyway, please pray for all of this stuff. I covet your prayers, and thank you. I'll keep you posted.
You stick around for a little bit afterwards. There's people that have questions for you.
Okay, absolutely.
Moving right along, is Spencer Bone in the room? Hey, Spencer. Is Allison in the room? Oh, there you go. All right. Let's go with Spencer first. We're going to finish up Allison because it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy. I met Allison a few weeks ago in my office. And what I've tried to do over the last couple of years is I try to get all the different conservative groups and introduce them so that we can be part of their groups, or we can at least know what they're doing so we can all help each other out. It's all yours, buddy. How many minutes you got?
I'll be brief.
Okay.
Okay, good. I gotta tell you, I am so glad to be in a large room full of patriots. So there's nothing gets me more fired up than this. So thank you. Like Chuck was saying, my name is Spencer Bone, and I'm the executive director of a group called Liberty Alliance USA. For those of you that don't know, Liberty Alliance USA is a conservative issue-based advocacy group, and our mission is very straightforward. We exist to promote conservative principles and ideas, uphold the values that make not just our country great, but Missouri great, and to fight back against anything that threatens our way of life. So that's a little bit about us. Now, I'm only going to talk about a few of the initiatives that we do, but we do quite a bit. But one of our main areas of focus is holding public officials accountable for their actions. So I just want to get a gauge of the room. Who remembers when the Casey Mayor and the Kansas City Council tried to illegally defund the police by $42.5 million? Yeah, what, it was about a little over a year ago? Yeah, I remember that too. Well, as you all were probably feeling, that's a great cause for concern. So my group, we decided to look into this. What happened? How did this go down? How did this come to fruition? So through a months-long effort to collect public documents through a public record request, we had thousands of documentation about this deal. And what we found was very alarming. Members of the Casey City Council, along with the mayor, conspired in secret to decide how to vote on this measure. Now, because $42.5 million of police funding is, those are public funds to protect all of us, that information, that meeting should have been brought to the attention of the public. But was it? No. So we brought those documents to light, and fortunately, the $42.5 million was not reallocated, as they would say. So that's one of the things that we do. Another thing that we do, we're a big group that's big on defending law enforcement. Men and women that risk their lives each and every day to make sure that our communities are protected. Linda mentioned that she had some exposure with the media and how the bias and all that jazz. Well, we know that communities actually support our police officers. And so we launched an initiative called the Blue Lives Spotlight to talk about those stories in which members of communities are actually there for their police officers. And so I just want to end with a quick story about an individual that I had the opportunity to meet last year. His name is Officer Montana Stevenson, and he serves in the O'Fallon, St. Louis side of the state. Well, Stevenson, he's been serving O'Fallon for 10 plus years. And he served in various capacities as a SWAT team leader, a detective, and a sniper within the SWAT team. Well, about a decade after his experience serving, 4 days before Christmas, December 2017, his house tragically burned down. Total loss. Can you imagine just 4 days before Christmas and that happens? Devastating. Well, after 16 years of serving his community, when that happened, his community stepped up and served him. And this is what they did. There were 3 GoFundMes that were going around. Over $30,000 were raised towards him. Truckloads of food, truckloads of clothes, and things along the like were delivered to his family. And the most meaningful thing was that someone offered to buy and build his house at cost for him and his family. And so these are stories that need to be told. This is something that we at Liberty Alliance USA do. And so I think with this group, we're all supporters of law enforcement. And so I have brought these decals. It's got our website, libertyallianceusa.com, and it's BaCoMo blue. So I've got quite a bit on the table, but if you just want to just show support, this is a simple way to do that. So I'll have these passed around, and again, it has our website that if you want to learn more about some of the work that we do, you'll be able to do so. And so I want to thank you again for allowing me the time to speak, Chuck. Again, my name is Spencer Bone, and please go to libertyallianceusa.com and just learn more about the good work that we're doing.
Awesome.
Spencer, I got one question for you. Where are all the people that are your age?
Yes.
What's the average age in this room right here? No, it's not 80, but I bet it's 60.
Good job. Good job.
So I moved here I'm from Jefferson City. I moved here in January, so I've been starting to meet more and more folks around my age. I'm going to start bringing them here. So, I have business cards, but if you know anyone who's a conservative that's roughly around my age, I'd love to get in contact with them and tell them the things that we're doing, how they can get involved. And so, by all means, you can take my information and give it to them, and I'd be more than happy just to talk shop and get a gauge of what they're doing and how they might want to get plugged in certain conservative efforts across the greater KC area. So, yeah, thank you.
I'm going to direct something right at each one of us elderly people that are in the room. You do know we have children and we have grandchildren, right? Yeah. You do know that we can invite them here, right? We need to educate them. It's not just crazy old grandpa or crazy old grandma or Or where are our children and grandchildren? They should be here also. I know there's a few younger people in the room. Appreciate you all being here. We also need to increase our, what's it called?
Our ethnic representation.
She cracked me up earlier, or yesterday, or the day before. She says, "I'm going to double our ethnic or whatever," because she was bringing someone with her. I thought, that's funny. I loved it. But Ron couldn't be here tonight, and he's always here. He's up here helping me as a director, but he couldn't be here tonight. He apologizes. But I do want to invite Allison up. Allison spoke last month, if you all remember correctly. I think I'm on a mission from God. I really do. We started this group 27 months ago, or however long ago, and I was up here by myself with my friends. But when we're up here now, I don't think we're alone, Tom.
Oh, no.
I think we're being led. I think that's the way it is. Now, Allison spoke last month. You were here, right? Some of you weren't, but she is a go-getter when it comes to catching human traffickers. She and her friend, he's a retired highway patrol, and he says one of his biggest regrets is missing maybe a child that was in the back seat and not knowing that they were being human trafficked. So even though he retired, they go around educating police forces on questions to ask, what to look for, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to let Allison speak for a minute, and then I'm going to tell you what we got going on and what we're doing that I'm going to ask for your help on. Go ahead, Allison.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. So I am the co-founder. My friend that he talked about, Dan Nash, who's a retired trooper, also co-founded the Human Trafficking Training Center. We provide skill-based training to law enforcement on human trafficking. Before we started this company, I was the Human Trafficking Task Force Director for the state of Missouri under Attorney General Eric Schmidt. I've been doing anti-trafficking work for over a decade. And the reason why Dan and I started this training company is that we largely see one of the greatest needs right now across our country in the fight against human trafficking is law enforcement. And what I mean by that is law enforcement, believe it or not, across the country is not trained when they leave the academy or at any other point with skills on human trafficking. What we do with our law enforcement across the country right now, to use an analogy, it would be like if I were to take a brand new recruit straight out of the academy and I told him, go out and arrest drunk drivers. I want you to find drunk drivers and arrest them. But what I do to train him is I invite Mothers Against Drunk Driving to come in and talk about how awful and how devastating and life-destroying drunk driving is. I haven't taught him what a drunk driver looks like on the road. I haven't taught him how to administer a field sobriety test. I haven't taught him officer safety issues on the side of the road. I haven't taught him any of these skills that he needs. This is what we do in our country to equip law enforcement to deal with human trafficking. We do not give them skills that they need. And there are lots of reasons for that. I think one of the big reasons is the people who in our country in leadership who decide how to allocate resources and so forth do not understand that. I think also we have, in case you haven't noticed, I know you have noticed, we've done a lot of damage to our law enforcement across the country in the last few years. We've destroyed the morale of a lot of officers, and I think a lot of that is a leadership problem, but we've also defunded them. And for a lot of these agencies, the first thing that they put on the chopping block is training budgets. So we have folks in a lot of departments leaving law enforcement as quickly as possible because they're not getting support from leadership. and they're not recruiting new ones. We're not able to get new officers like we used to. KCPD right now, normally they run at 1,500 officers. They're down 300. So what we have is an agency that's making decisions about what they're going to cut. I also know of another town in Missouri. I'm not supposed to tell you the name of the town because hopefully you'll understand the reasons why they don't want the public to know this, but 76,000 people in this town in Missouri. Normally in their agency, they have 45 uniformed officers that they need to be on the streets. Today they have 7. You understand why they don't want people to know that? So they're trying to decide which 911 calls to come to. So we have a lot of resource problems with law enforcement, and yet crime is continuing and so forth. We talked about how a lot of the crime that goes on in Jackson County is related to drugs. It's also related to human trafficking. The same people that are running drugs in our inner city are also running girls. They're selling them for sex. That's part of their economy. Those two things go together. And if you're wondering, and I'm always frustrated by this, people are wondering what are all these people shooting? What are the shootings all about? Well, a lot of times they are about drugs, and they are about the girls that they're selling because of the money that's behind it. If we would equip our law enforcement with skill-based training, we could actually make a significant difference with this. We have a plan for cooking up.
After Allison and Dan spoke last month, I asked Allison, I said, you go around educating police forces? And she goes, yeah, that's what we do all over America. And I said, how much does that cost? And she said, $4,000. Not much, $4,000. And I said, I'm a salesman. Yeah, I've always been a salesman. Do you think you could put Lee Summit and Blue Springs together and do them, both cities together? And she goes, yeah. And I said, how much would that cost? And she said, $4,000. And I said, done.
Awesome.
We the people will do that. This is where we're going with this. We are going to make such a difference with just Allison and Dan. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it. Allison called me up a couple weeks ago, and she goes, Chuck, I've talked to the Kansas City Police Academy. They have a room that holds 500 people. They said we can do it there. And I said, Allison, do you mean that we can educate the entire metropolitan police force? And she said, yes. And I said, how much does that cost? And she said, $4,000. How much is a 12-year-old little girl worth?
Oh, yeah.
A 12-year-old little girl that gets raped 6,000 times by the time she's 18.
Mm-hmm.
What if we could save that little girl?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
What if we could save 10,
Yeah.
20, 100? What if we could educate this police force? What if it goes to other cities?
Yep.
We can make a difference.
Yep.
Beyond.
Metropolitan. Every small town close to Kansas City that will send their police can do it.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we are all about. I said to Allison, I said, I only request one thing. She said, what's that? And I said, I want I want everybody, I want the entire Metropolitan Police Force to know that we, the people of Jackson County,
Yep.
is paying for this.
Yes.
You know what she said?
Love that.
You remember what you said?
I don't remember exactly, but I.
Something like that.
She said, Chuck, I want you and your directors to talk 5 or 10 minutes to start it off with.
Oh my gosh.
So, I haven't asked for anything for 27 months from you all. Just a few bucks to get started. I didn't even ask for bucks tonight. But I am asking for $4,000 tonight. 40 of you, $100 a bill, $100 a piece, 40 of you.
Who do we make this out to?
I don't know. You can't make it out to We the People because I can't cash that check. I've tried that once before. It won't work. I got a $1,000 check over here that I can't cash. Remember when the guy bought the flag that's flying over the United States Capitol? He made it out to We the People. Well, we're under the radar here. We don't have a checking account. We're not a 501(c)(3). We are a group of citizens that get together. So, I need you all to buck up. $4,000 to save the lives of a lot of people. Who can help? Whoa.
I can tell who to make the check.
Allison can tell you who to make the check out to.
You can make a check out to the Human Trafficking Training Center. I am also able to take credit card information. So I want to tell you, last week I was in Little Rock, Arkansas. Dan and I were doing one of our trainings. We had 67 officers from around the area who attended our training. Dan and I got an email from one of the officers the day after the training telling us a story about how, for the first time in his career, he identified a victim of human trafficking. And he told us the whole story, how everything happened, and he said to us, he said, if it weren't for the training I had just received, I would have missed it. It was a tattoo. It was a simple tattoo on her hand. He would not have understood the meaning behind it. And he learned what that was, and he also gained skills to know how to engage her in conversation. 6 days after that, and got her, this woman, young woman, got her into services. She started cooperating with law enforcement, told them who the trafficker was. They're working on an arrest of him, hallelujah to that. And there are 2 other girls that were also under his control that they were being arrested. Just 2 of them from this. 6 days after that, another officer who attended our training sent us an email as well, telling us about a disturbance call he was sent to at a convenience store. He started talking to a 15-year-old girl who was part of the disturbance there, and started recognizing that there was probably more going on with her than meets the eye. He started using the skills so that we taught him in the class to engage her in conversation, and she finally says to him, "My dad is a pimp, and I need help." So they're going to arrest Dad, which is fantastic, and this young girl is getting help and getting services, and she is not being raped multiple times a day now. So this is how quickly this training works when we equip our officers with the skills that they need. And I'm confident that after we have this training here in Kansas City at the KCPD Academy, we'll be telling similar stories like that, and I would love to come back and tell you that.
You will be back.
Okay. You have a question in the back, sir. For citizens, we could do something like that.
We can do something like that right here in this room.
I can.
We might get a deal on
hang
that.
on, let me get you formed. Yeah. Here, check. We talk.
Who does the check go to?
The Human Trafficking Training Center.
Human Trafficking Training Center. Or leave it blank and I'll put my name in there.
Oh, that's
my Bible.
Human Trafficking Training Center.
That's my Bible. It's under
I'm
my
sorry I
seat.
broke
I'll
up a
get
little
it
bit a
later.
while ago.
Amazing
I just want to say, there's a movie coming out in 2 days with Jim Caviezel called The Sound of Freedom. And it's about human trafficking, about a man named Tim Ballard who's been rescuing children around the world. To answer your question, when you said, what's it cost or what's it worth? To
What's it worth? What's it worth?
There's a line in that movie where Tim Ballard says, God's children are not for sale. There's the answer to your question.
We've got an incredible group here. We will raise the money. I don't know how much we have here tonight, but we probably got couple thousand bucks, I would imagine. Oh, there's a hat too. Yeah, let's start counting. Let's start counting. Let's get to 4,000 tonight. Want to? Who can count? Come up and count.
We'll count.
Here, I'm gonna go out to my group. Okay.
Not yet. It's 8:37. We got till 9 o'clock. And I'm not going to pound you, and I'm not going to expect anything out of you. This is from your heart. I decided a month ago that I would pay it. I would pay it to get it done. But I wanted to give you all the opportunity to own some of this too. So this is going to be huge. This is going to make a huge difference in Kansas City.
I can take credit cards if somebody wants to form. Just put the amount that you want to give on there.
I had a question.
She can take a credit card. She's giving out some forms right now. Anybody that doesn't have any cash on them that want to fill out a credit card, Allison can take it. We're going to set this class up for the KCMO Greater Kansas City Police Force as soon as possible. I've got a niece that is an educator down there. You might have met her here a couple of years ago. She came to a few of my meetings. And I called her up and talked to her about it. She could not believe it. She could not believe that we, the people of Jackson County, Missouri, was doing this and can make such a difference in our community and in the future. And I think the word will spread. And I think other towns and other cities will start doing this too. And we educate. We give these policemen the knowledge that they need to save these women and boys too, little boys too, to save them. So
Did you hear about?
I feel like Jerry Lewis.
Here, Mayor Shaw.
Oh, did he do it on Labor Day?
Yes.
How ironic is that? You know? Oh boy, where's my buddy Dean?
I've
Now you have
got a
to
question
sing.
for Allison. Okay. So I have heard, and I don't know if I've not done any research to substantiate this or not, but I have heard from multiple sources that Kansas City seems to be somewhat of a hub or centralized location. Do you have any information to validate that or?
No.
Okay.
In fact, and when I travel around, every city says that. And I think the reason why this narrative is pushed out there, I think there are NGOs that say that because they want to create this sense of like urgency, which shouldn't we just have that anyway? So it bothers me that I hear that. It's really a myth. And here's what you need to understand. Does Kansas City have a drug problem?
Yep.
Yes, we have a drug problem because people live here. It's the same with human trafficking. Human trafficking exists wherever people are, just like drug problem exists wherever people are. So there isn't really necessarily anything different about Kansas City than any other problem. I hear from Houston. Houston says Houston's a hub of human trafficking. Everywhere is, in even our rural areas of the state of Missouri, we've had cases come out of places like that. And what that typically is family members or, you know, friends or so forth. They're trafficking a young person in a family for drug habit or to make, you know, ends meet for the family.
So that brings the question to me, then if it's not above, then why are there not more prosecutions?
So that's a complicated question. The reason, there's a lot of reasons for that. Prosecutors and judges are not trained on this as well. And there have been times where I've seen law enforcement bring cases to them and they get real nervous about them because they don't have a lot of experience in prosecuting human trafficking crimes. But first of all, before it even gets to that point, you have to have a case that's built by law enforcement. And again, so we're just missing it all the way across the board. I mean, in order for it to get to the point where we have it prosecuted, we have to have our prosecutors, our judges trained on it. We have to have our law enforcement, our investigators trained to see it and do a good investigation with it. And then, so it all starts with training. And we're really at ground zero.
I say over and over and over again, why is this even happening in this country?
Exactly.
I guess.
Why is the borders open? Why is the borders open? You know, they're coming across the border for human trafficking, drugs, illegal aliens. Fentanyl's the biggest killer of the youth. We've got to stop all this. And this is a way that we can get it going and we the people can be part of the solution. I love you guys and I love this group a lot. We've got one, Nora wants to talk for a little bit here in a minute. And then we have another young lady that would like to say the prayer at the end with us.
Allison, I don't know what influence you have with the Kansas City Police Academy, but if it's something that as a group we're able to raise enough money, would we be able to do that twice?
Absolutely.
Using their
Yes.
facility? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly, you know, to bring in officers or personnel who were not able to make the original meeting,
Right.
or even possibly open it up to the public as was alluded to earlier.
Allison told me that some of the policemen that will be there will help educate other policemen that couldn't make it, that they were out in their cars that day.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing too, I want people to understand is this is investment in our officers will last for their entire career. You know, I told you two fabulous stories that came out of the last training we had in Arkansas. That's just 1 week. These officers interact with victims and offenders all the time. And if we equip them with skills, that is something that will continue to give and make a difference over time.
Repeat the date again.
The date that we have is December 5th on the calendar. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. We got some time.
December 5th, I didn't even know she had it set up yet. I guess when I told her that we're doing it, she took me serious, you know? December 5th, and wow, this is incredible. You guys are the slowest counters I've ever seen.
They need a calculator. Whoa.
We haven't quite met our goal yet. Has anybody else got any money? You guys just gave us $6,000. An extra $2,000 will go to the next class.
I will give Chuck, I will give you $2,000, do the second class, schedule the second class.
Derek just gave us $2,000. That's the first class and that's the second class. That will probably educate twice as many policemen.
Yeah. Wow. Appropriately put it 3 months or so out so that it's more effective.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
This is through the police academy.
So what will happen is we'll create a flyer, and then the academy puts it out to law enforcement agencies all across the area, so Kansas and Missouri. We'll make a special push with Lee Summit and Blue Springs in particular, and I think your influence and your giving of this will be a fantastic way to motivate them. The class is, all of our classes are post-certified, so the officers get the credits that they need for their training, and yeah.
Can we send it to all the police departments instead of just those?
Yeah, it will go out to all,
It
yeah.
will go to all the greater Kansas City. And I'm sure there'll be some small towns 50 miles away that will probably go, hey, we want to send.
Absolutely, yeah. Mhm. Yes, sir, you had a question?
Is there a class that's oriented towards EMTs and paramedics?
Yes, I have a colleague of mine that does that kind of training, so I could provide you with that contact.
Because I've been doing this for 25 years and I have never had a class.
Okay, so here's another thing. So the class is geared towards law enforcement, but we do invite people who work in social services, and we do invite medical personnel to come because you work with the police. If you see it, you report to them.
We sometimes give them the information that they
Exactly.
need, but if they don't know how to use it to prosecute, then it's
Right.
it's
So
wasted.
by having all those people, the victim advocates, the social workers, medical personnel in the room with the law enforcement officers when they get the training, that helps everybody get on the same page. Mhm.
Thank you all. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. It's unbelievable what we the people can do. How about a big applause for Allison? She said I'm going to make her cry, and I'm up here bellowing like a bull, Nora wanted to speak to us. Sorry, Nora. I've called her Nora for a long time. She wanted to speak for a few minutes just to finish up, and we do have someone that wanted to say a prayer at the end. Who was it? No, someone. Oh. Nola said she would pray. So she's going to talk for a few minutes, and then she's going to end the evening.
Thank you so much, Chuck. This is so awesome. You all are a wonderful group. There are many longtime friends here, as well as lots of new friends, and I just want to tie a bow around the whole meeting. We have a big job to do, and the words of wisdom that have been shared already are so important. The thing that we need to understand is that the left, the Democrats, lie, cheat, and steal. So we need to outvote all their lying, cheating, and stealing. Now, in 2016, they were all kind of astounded when we helped Trump win. But they were ahead of us on 2020, and there was an infamous article written in a popular magazine about how they had fortified that election. So this year, we're going to fortify our efforts by everybody reaching out. And, we have friends that didn't make it through the primary, and that's hard for us that had friends that we were supporting, but we are going to find those candidates that you are enthusiastic about and support them. And these four positions that are countywide with Jackson County, those are huge, because if we can replace Frank White with Teresa Galvin, if we can elect Lance and Bill and John, and then the in-district friends, Sean and Christina, and so.
Jacob.
And Jacob, yes, and Janelle. And we have a lot of work to do, but it's doable. And so let's cultivate reach out to our spheres of influence. So for 11 years, KC Conservatives has been meeting in Grandview on the third Monday night. And so this coming the third Monday, Matt Crouch is going to be there from Heritage Action, and he's going to talk about the issues they are working on. And so thank you, Matt. We really appreciate you. He just got out of the Marines, and he has a wonderful story to tell. So God bless you, Matt. Thank you. And we're going to teach some really practical stuff because personally, I've taught a lot of canvassers some tips that help get the door answered and help get the message out. And so I want to make that available to any of our candidates and any of our friends that want to make a difference. So there are ways to help for every personality. You don't have to feel called to talk to voters at their doors, but JC and all the candidates are having to do that. God bless you. And we are going to support you. There are some support systems that are coming under us and leading the way and helping us reach out, especially to our friends of faith who thought that politics is dirty and that believers shouldn't get involved. Well, we know that's not true. It was shared last night on World Prayer Network, and if you're not familiar with that one, go to worldprayernetwork.org, or you will see that in my emails that I send out. They talked last night about loving your neighbor by helping support good government. That's what we're about. And so we're going to work together. We have the best slate of Republicans who have stepped up in decades. You had something you wanted to ask or share?
After the president's speech, we went in the closet and got out the Trump sign, put it in the window, put it on our door. So we're with it already. All right.
Amen. So the wonderful news this year is just like JC, and others were encouraged to go ahead and run because a lot of us saw this coming, that we're going to have a red wave. Janelle stepped up to serve. She'd never run before. And so we have a wonderful slate of great people who are running. And so it's on us to get the word out to our circles of friends and family and encourage them to get out. I was handing out, many of you already get my emails, but if you don't, I passed out my sign-up sheet, or you can just take one of my flyers for one of my businesses and email me, and I would love to include you if you're not getting my emails. We have lots of ways to help support these great people, and then next spring are the city elections, and that's our chance to replace Quentin Lucas and his minions. So, and all the surrounding communities. So we've got a lot of work to do, but it is totally doable, and let's make it happen. Thank you. And yes, so Father, we thank you for the freedom that you've provided to us, that through the great sacrifice of so many others, that we're able to gather like this. And Lord, we ask you for the wisdom and the discernment to do what we are called to do, what you created us to do on our watch, on our moment in history. Lord, help us to do what you have created us to do and called us to do at this time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey, you all. Allison is standing up here. She's got business cards. If you would like to get her information, she'll hand it to you on your way out. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Tell all your friends. We'll see you the first Monday night of October.